Rotimi, let's come to Nigeria's situation now. We're growing at an alarming rate. Could this be a blessing or could it be a curse?
Well, it's. Let's look at the context in which it could be an asset or a blessing. So, if all children have access to quality education, 12 years minimum, that is primary and secondary, free and quality education, and at least 50 to 80% of them then go on to have some technical, vocational, or tertiary education. Then the quality of the human capacity, the workforce, is then stronger, then better. Then, if there is key infrastructure to support them, especially electricity, then it starts to look more like an asset. Now, the reason it is not an asset and it is a liability is that currently we have estimated 13 million children out of school. Those are the independent figures. Government claims it is 10 million. We should say that. So it is 10 million to 13 million, depending on whether you believe the government's claim that they reduced the out-of-school children by 3 million during the year of COVID when all schools were closed. They haven't told us where those schools were built, the classrooms were built, and so forth. So I will stick with the 13 million. According to the Minister of Education, there are at least 60 million adults unable to read or write. So whether you take it as a government underestimation or not, I leave it to you. There are at least 100 million living in extreme poverty. That's roughly half the population. Of the workforce, the unemployment is 33%. Underemployment, that is those working roughly 20 hours or less in a week, is 23%. So combined unemployment and underemployment is 55%. For the youth age 15 to 34 years, which is roughly 50% of the workforce, the unemployment is higher at 42%. The national is 33%. So you can start to see now that all the education and work indices is starting to look like it's not an asset at all. We need to explain more why what I've just explained exists.
Yes, please.
So about 70% of children that start primary school are not able to proceed to secondary. You see now where the problem is starting. The investment in education is not there, especially in Northwest, Northeast, North Central. Of 4 million children seeking admission, that is those that make it to secondary school and then want to go on to tertiary and pass, not that they failed, and pass. Of the 4 million, there are only about 2 million places in all the tertiary institutions combined. So about 50% of those that want to continue are unable to, not because they didn't pass, but because there are no places
to put them
for them. So what we have is that about 80% of our workforce, the highest level of education completed is secondary school. 80% of the workforce. Whereas we should have about 80% that have technical, vocational, or higher tertiary qualification to improve the quality of the workforce. So what we have now, 80% highest education completed secondary school automatically equals low-paying job. Low-tech economy, low-paying job, which means we have about 100 million living in extreme poverty. So you start to see why all those situations happen.